Alright, in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to Mint Skull's video, Is Dead by Daylight Harder for Killers Now? I'll give you guys my input and reaction to this video. If you want, go subscribe to Mint Skull. I'll put the link to this full video in the description so you can go check it out yourself. And before we touch on this, someone had put me onto this video saying that this guy was touching some of the points I was talking about in my own live stream. And what I've been saying, and maybe he'll agree, is since they changed spawns in this game, survivors now spawn together, which means that at the beginning of the match, if you don't find the survivors, you pick the wrong gen to go to or the wrong area of the map, guess what? You already lost the gen because all the survivors are in one spot. Next thing is healing got buffed. Crazy. You can heal in 2 seconds, which means less healing time, more gen time. You get what I'm saying? When healing was not as buffed as it is now, people had to take some time to heal. And now I feel like if you're going to try to run something, you want to run like leverage and perks like that, Thana, to try to slow healing down because it is really fast now. So being that people aren't healing, they're on gens more. The next thing is the crows, right? The crows, like if you're not doing something, the crow's going to be on you, giving your position away. And the only thing to counter that is to be on a generator. So those are my three. I think I had one more. I can't remember at the time, but let's get into it, man.
Generators were being done way too fast in your matches recently? You end a chase, get a hook, and there are only 2 generators left because survivors repair 2 of them and 1 is about to be done.
Yeah, and that's exactly the scenario I'm talking about, is that if you pick the wrong gen, right? This is why you got to run lethal. I feel like corrupt and lethal kind of have to go hand in hand. And you're gonna need to use killers that can get across the map fast. You guys notice what I'm doing with Vecna? I mean, just go watch it. Watch my videos of Vecna so you can see it for yourself. By the way, a 92% kill rate on Vecna, okay?
Feels like you need to tunnel and camp more than before, or started to replace your meme perks with gen slowdown perks.
Yep.
This has been my experience since the Springtrap patch, and at first I thought that this was purely a skill issue by my part. But after comparing my recorded matches post the release of this killer with the matches I did in the past, it is undeniable that killer is currently harder than it has been in a long while. According to Nightlight, a website that shows the pick rate and kill rate of killers based on community input, the kill rates of the majority of killers have plummeted. Wow. However,
now the thing with Nightlight is people have to input their own stats. So how trustworthy is that? I don't know. That's up for debate for you guys. But I don't use the website. I just, like, when I do streaks, I just do them on my live stream, and we live stream my streaks. And if I lose, the streak goes away, because they say that on that website that my streaks don't count if I bring a map offering. It's okay for survivors to bring it, but you can't bring it. So I don't know. I'm not gonna nerf myself. You know what I mean? That's dumb. I just want to play the game and see if I can go on high win streaks.
A community manager has
wait, this is the Mandy. Will say these stats are nowhere near accurate. Yes, I checked the stats. I'm guessing they're even more inaccurate than they used to be due to a smaller sample size, given that personal stats are now available. So don't all start to panic that kill rates have dropped. They really haven't.
Forward, saying that these statistics are not accurate at all compared to their official ones, potentially because Nightlight is counting abandons as escapes.
Ooh, yeah, okay, yeah, they're counting abandons as escape. That's no bueno. You don't want to do that.
Feelings regarding DBD becoming much harder.
You know, and I feel like, how do we know behavior's not counting abandons and quits as like higher kill rates for killers? They're just quitting and giving up. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are they calculating all this?
Nothing to do with this website. I will be waiting for the developer statistics first in order to see if there is any correlation. So, what could have happened for this? Well, the funniest part is that nobody currently knows exactly why matches have become harder compared to before.
I just laid it out. I feel like what I'm saying is key. I feel like that's important. I feel like that's what it really is. It's not that gens are faster. They might. I mean, you never know. I mean, if you look at 2v8, if you're losing the match, your gens go faster. If you're winning, they go slower or something like that. I don't remember how it works, but I do know that the game can manipulate itself on the fly. However, I don't think that's implemented in regular 1v4. They would have to say something because they would just get busted by like the people that pay attention to numbers and stuff like that.
In fact, this could all be a placebo. But it's weird how many of us are experiencing this change on both sides. There are various potential ideas as to why this is the case. One of the things that I immediately noticed after this patch is how keeping survivors injured is no longer an issue due to the massive buff that healing perks got.
Yes, that means that hit and run playstyles are no longer going to be worthy. Like it's not, because the way healing works with botany knowledge and then you have vigil, stuff like that. Vigil, I mean, that perk is awesome already. If you haven't been using vigil on your survivor loadouts, you need to start using it.
Specific botany knowledge. This was a perk I used before it was buffed, and it came with the cost of making medkits less efficient, forcing you to bring another means of healing yourself, or bring an add-on to increase its charges so you can get one heal. For that reason, I ran Strength in Shadows, as I loved this combo, but it was not optimal. Now, Botany gives you a flat 50% healing speed boost no matter what, which means medkits are fair game, giving you 2 fast heals in the same match with a single medkit. I no longer need any self-healing perk, allowing me to basically never be at risk of being injured, as I can heal myself extremely fast. And also combined with the countless of healing perks added and buffed in the game, like the buffed Resurgence or the new Aurora perk, Do No Harm, you can literally reset under the hook in less than 2 seconds.
Wow, so you see that combo is what I'm talking about. 2 seconds under the hook, it is insane. And the fact that you can just bring your own stuff now and heal yourself. You guys remember at one point they nerfed healing because it was OP. And now it's even more OP than the time that they nerfed it. You get what I'm saying? It's actually worse now than it was back then.
As someone who has played in a lot of metas, this one feels very similar to the Circle of Healing boon meta.
Yeah, that
only worse.
Yeah,
because now you can reset extremely fast without wasting your time booning. But there are many more factors that make this feel extremely bad. Not only is Botany a free perk that everyone has access to, making it accessible for casuals, it also now makes it possible for someone to heal with a medkit and use a syringe or a styptic later, which benefits from the increased healing buff. And the worst part is that the mangled effect was nerfed.
Wow, they even nerfed the mangled effect, man. I'm gonna have to try this. I'm gonna have to go play some solo queue Survivor and just see what the vibes are. Maybe post some videos and see, like, am I struggling to stay healed or is it really easier? So I'm gonna have to run some combos. We'll check it out, but I can guarantee you this is that if you're running a hit and play, like a hit and run play style, it's gonna do you more harm than good now.
So now, Sloppy Butcher is not a popular pick as it was before, and survivors can just wait the mangled out with Vigil or counter it with Botany. Back then, syringes were not as popular because they were rare, but now thanks to the prestige change, I have enough syringes on my Sable and my other mains to play until I get bored of it, and I am not alone. With the bulk blood point spending option and with the insane gains from the anniversary event and Blood Moon events, it's easier to find syringes in Dead by Daylight than in Hollywood Boulevard.
Look at that, bro. Look at this. Everybody knows this stuff is OP. And I'm gonna start using it in my own solo queue builds because, I mean, they're that good. It's just that good. It's a no-brainer to run this med kits with the syringe. It's just a no-brainer. So if I were you, man, I would be using Botany Knowledge. And see how many do I see in here. You see the Dead Heart. Resilience is another one that a lot of people are bringing. Yeah, see, people haven't picked up on the Botany Knowledge in these clips right here. Because I don't see, maybe there is one. I'm just blind to it, but I don't see a Botany Knowledge. Yeah, I don't see it.
Healing is currently very busted. Being injured means nothing, and hooking survivors also means nothing, as they can reset under the hook and barely lose any time. So my playstyle of hit and run is severely impacted, as it's basically useless now. And instead, hard focusing a survivor is rewarded instead of playing the macro game. It could also explain why some killers might feel like nothing changed if they always focused on tunneling survivors individually instead of spreading the love. This single change is, in my opinion, the one that I noticed the most when playing on both sides. And as a survivor,
and this guy's he's not biased about it. He's playing both sides. He can feel it on the killer side and he can experience it on the survivor side, so he gives you both. I have to play on the survivor side, so that's my mistake. I need to start playing more survivor. I don't really play survivor at all, but when I do, I'm actually, you know, we got a really good escape rate, man. It's like 65% now.
However, at no point in the match do I feel any danger of being injured when I can heal myself and my teammates extremely fast. Now, you might think that medkits are busted, but the problem are not
he's gonna touch on what I'm telling you guys, the spawn logic.
Only medkits.
And the crows.
I went on record saying that toolboxes are stronger than medkits in my bully squad counter video, and I stand by it. Generators are currently flying, and this can be due to various reasons. A very good point I have seen is how now that survivors spawn closer together, it makes the first generator pop very fast.
Wait, he said what he's seen. I wonder if he watched our live stream, bro. Was Mint Skull on our stream, man, when we talked about it? I know it was before he posted his video. This video was posted, what, 3 days ago, and I was talking about it last week. So maybe he's watching, maybe he saw it, maybe he saw our video, maybe he saw our stream, maybe he did it, maybe someone else has already figured it out.
Fast, and this makes logical sense, as I have seen more efficient survivors split up at the start into pairs, and it means that at the start of the match, instead of losing one generator, you lose two, and potentially three if survivors bring Gen Rush perks. However, as of now, I am unsure if spawn logic is not much of an impact or not, because logically speaking, it also makes sense that survivors spawning separately is even worse. I think the problem of focusing gens at the start is that
the thing is, okay, so the thing is the time it takes to complete that gen. Meaning, if survivors separate, it's a lot longer, which means a killer can still get it down within that timer, and then go around and rotate to a gen and chase one off, then another one has to come off, go for the save, and it's a never-ending cycle, right? And then he's got gen regression perks like pain res, dead mans, and all that, and it just makes a circle. But at the start of the match, if one survivor gets into a chase, and those three stay on the gen where they all spawn together, that gen's gone by the time he gets it down and hooks them. That's the separation. Now the game's, you know, the pressure's on you because of that. The spawn logic and putting them together is actually worse than leaving them spread out. But you need corrupt intervention.
Slowdown perks were significantly nerfed, and they usually require you to get a down, like Surge, Eruption, Pop, and Pain Resonance. So, if survivors rush a gen at the start, you basically don't have time to slow those generators down.
You don't.
So in short, it's more of a problem that Dead by Daylight needs to give killers a base kit corrupt instead of changing the spawning mechanics.
Man, I like this guy, Mint Skull. He's telling it how it is. You're gonna need base kit corrupt if they don't want to balance the game, like the gens and stuff like that. If they're not gonna do that, and I feel like they're not. I feel like their goal is to make you and force you to lose some of your games. By all means, they want to bring it down to 60 and give survivors more chance to win games. I think that's exactly what they're going for. They don't give a damn about nothing else. Bringing it down to 50-50 or 60-40. That's their goal, and it looks like they just don't give a damn about what anyone thinks. That's what they're headed for.
In my personal
force you
opinion.
To lose.
Now, gen rushers
to make it fair.
have been in the game always, so this is not something new, but it's clear that something changed. And my biggest theory as to why this is the case is due to the new AFK crows. For those of you unaware, Behavior massively buffed the AFK crows, which forced survivors to do something useful in order to remove them. Even if you are walking, if the game detects that you are not repairing generators or healing someone, the crows will start appearing. So the game naturally forces survivors to gen rush even in low MMR lobbies.
This is what I was just saying, as I was bringing this up as well. If you're not on a gen or healing or saving off a hook, then the crows are going to hit you. We did this in my live stream with the PTB. I was playing Survivor in the PTB, and I was running from one side of the map to the other, and by the time I got to the other side, like, it didn't even take that long. I already had crows on me.
As they can no longer hide, since the crows will reveal them, and it also punishes survivors that play for flashlight saves. This is fantastic for solo queue, and you probably notice how survivors are doing more generators than before. But as a killer, it feels very miserable, as it looks like you are forced to run slowdown perks if you want to have a chance.
So for the majority of the games that I've been playing, it's night, and I use strategy with night, right? I'll use all available strategies. I'm not gonna sit there 12 hooking and not using strategy against really good teams, right? No, there's just no way. You're gonna lose like that. But the killer that I've been enjoying the most, man, and I feel like he's borderline, if not S tier, is Vecna. The new buff to Vecna is insane. And I don't lose because there's just not enough time for you to get stuff done with how he can get from one point to the next and then down you quick. I get in chases quick. If you look at my build and what I use and why I have a 92% kill rate with Vecna, watch the gameplays that I post. You'll see why. Guy's awesome.
The game is simply not balanced for efficient survivors, and that is an undeniable fact. The devs have nerfed AFK crows, so this is no longer that much of a problem, but the matches still feel like they are going very fast. Another reason why many players might feel like DBD is currently very survivor-sided is due to Springtrap, because he sucks and cannot compete against good survivors.
What did he say? Hold on, he sucks.
And cannot compete against good survivors. Springtrap is extremely popular very fast. Another reason why many players might feel like DBD is currently very survivor-sided is due to Springtrap, because he sucks and cannot compete against good survivors. Springtrap is extremely popular for a good reason, and many players have returned to this game to play him. But as you probably already know, Springtrap is at best a B tier killer. He doesn't have insane lethality against survivors that are good, his doors can be easily countered now that survivors know what to do, and his projectile attack is hard to use compared to the other range killers. This might make it look like survivors are much stronger, but that's only because we went from Vecna, who was very strong on release.
Look what he says, look what he says.
From Vecna.
I just said that. Currently, he is also very strong. I'm telling you, borderline S tier. If you're not using Vecna right now, I'd say stay away from him so they don't nerf him. Like, just leave him alone, Rand. I want to, you know, I would like to really use Vecna for the most part, man, because like the way, if you rock my build that I showed you guys in my videos, man, check it out. All right, and just do what I do with Alien Instinct, and you're never gonna lose.
Who was very strong on release.
Never gonna lose.
Dracula, who is a top 5 killers in the game. Houndmaster, who is an A tier killer that many survivors don't know how to play against, and Ghoul, who is an A tier killer but an S tier killer on release with how easy he was to play. Playing a well-balanced killer now feels like trash only because now you get to feel how insane the disparity is between S tier and B tier.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, he's right about that. With these changes, and he's completely 100% hit it right on the head. With these changes, you now see the separation of killers. Like, it is harder. It's even harder. What did we tell you guys about M1 killers as they start implementing these changes? They're going to become obsolete. We're going to have to stay away from them. And you're starting to feel the beginning effects. And that's because phase 2 is still coming, son. Phase 2 is on the way, which is going to make it even worse for killers. It's going to be crazy.
It has been talked about since the nerf's release, and it's an issue that many of us try to find solutions to. And the final and most important possible cause for matches being overall harder is something that completely changes every single balance change that behavior has ever made. The Go Next prevention actually worked, and survivors are now taking the game more seriously, proving how survivors are significantly more boosted than they ever were because they are no longer giving up, inflating the escape rates. The Go Next prevention should have been introduced before all the balance changes the devs have done in order to balance the game.
True that, he hits it right there. It should have been implemented first before you did all this other stuff. That way, as people are taking it serious now and they're forced to play the game, now we get to see how the game reacts and now we can adjust around the game. He makes a really good valid point on that part right there. The Go Next should have been implemented before the changes. Now that it's after, it's worse because now these survivors are forced to use all the tools that behavior has put in their hands. You know, the hand holding we've been talking about? That's exactly what he's talking about. Now they get to use all the tools they didn't want to use before, right? Now they're going to bring the day. Oh, well, if I'm going to force to play, I'm going to crank out the gens. That's pretty much a mind state, you know?
Because they have inflated the kill rates of many of the killers in the game. Best example is School Merchant. Everyone knows that she absolutely sucks. But to this day, there are still players complaining about her despite Schoolie being basically a powerless piece of trash.
True that.
So what the devs did is massively nerf her because her kill rate was insane.
But her kill rate wasn't insane because she was winning, as people were quitting against her once they saw her.
Had they added the Go Next prevention before that, I am sure that School Merchant would have had a more normal kill rate. This is something that many content creators have said for years. Oddsdarva, True Talent, Choi, and many more content creators voiced this concern for months, and it was something very well known that survivors were the power role at the top. However, what was underestimated is just how much it changes to have all 4 survivors want to play the match instead of trolling and going next on their first hook. And now, it seems like the go next prevention mechanic has shown us that all the changes the devs have added to the game in order to favor survivors were not needed as much, because the truth was not that they were weak. The truth was that a lot of survivors were entitled and did not take this game seriously. Think about
He's right. I mean, he's right. Now, like, I didn't think of that angle. This guy, Minskos, he's smart, man. This is a guy right here. If I were you, I'd go follow him, man, because if he's hitting angles that right here that I didn't really, he's like opening my mind to it. And he's right. That the go next is now forcing survivors into a different state that they could have been before the go next, but they chose not to because they're entitled. Damn, son. Pure genius.
about it this way. Every single time the devs balanced the game in order to make survivors survive more was taking into account all the survivors that didn't care about surviving. Now survivors that want to survive have more insane tools at their disposal,
Yes.
like the 70 seconds per hook state change, which
Oh,
is
yeah, that's another
absolutely
thing.
insane, or perks like Shoulder the Burden combined with buffed Vigil, which are literally game breaking if you use them right, and nobody complains about it because it's very rare in solo queue.
Okay, so, and this goes back to what we're saying. Why do we need a phase 2 if we already have the perks? You have anti-tunneling perks, you have anti-camp, you have anti-3gen, you have anti-slug, you have it all. But nobody wants, they want to be able to use what they want to use and not have to use those perks and then expect behavior to cater to them like they're doing it to try to still nerf these strategies, man. And they are strategies. It's been recognized. Look, check this out. Let me just talk to you guys real quick. It's in the proof of the game, like in the game, the proof is in the game, meaning that these are strategies to where they created perks to counter them. If tunneling and slugging and camping were an actual toxic playstyle, they would have figured out a way to just remove it. Instead, what they do? They made perks to counter them. Why would that even be a factor? Because you knew it was a strategy, killers were gonna do it, and it created you a way to make more perks to hide behind a paywall, and you got greedy. That's pretty much what it is.
Now,
The killer
of
mains
course,
have
the
to suffer.
dislike ratio of this video will reflect how many survivor mains will want the game to be sided for them,
Yes.
with the only argument being survivors really can't have anything. But what most of them do not take into account is that the more sweaty a survivor meta is, the more miserable killers will become, and this is already something that I have adapted. Whereas before, I could run with some meme builds and play without taking into account hook states, now
I wouldn't have gone up there because he's gonna be in bloodlust. This is just the part. I'm watching the gameplay, and when you're taking this right here, I mean, he might get out of it, but I don't see it happening. Even if he vaults, he's gonna get a hit. He's gonna get hit.
absolutely need to tunnel a survivor as fast as possible, counting their hooks and even camping a hook to confirm a hook
Yep.
state if I want to have a chill experience later. Or I can also take the easy route and just play Ghoul and other easy killers in order to win.
Or Vecna. It doesn't even have to be Ghoul. It could be Houndmaster, Vecna. These killers right here make the game a lot easier for you because they're very powerful killers.
Only matches that I felt were normal were the matches with goofy bully squads, which I love facing myself.
Yeah, me
but
too.
Even in those matches, and even while playing well and constantly hooking survivors, most of the time, there was only one generator almost being done left, or
Damn.
straight up, we have reached the endgame. So the easier it is for survivors, you have to understand that the more acceptable it will become to tunnel and slug, because those are the only tactics that allow me and many other killers to have any chance at making the match last more than 10 minutes against survivors that are good.
Okay, so remember what the other creators like Hins and them said. They said that if you use those strategies, well, you're artificially inflating your MMR, which I still, and I'm going to tell you guys, is a load of BS, okay? In my kill rates, they prove it, okay? With my style, my strategy, and the way I play the game, my kill rates are in the 90s. My Freddy's 90, Vecna's 92, Ghostface is 87. But still, anything above 80, You know what I'm saying? Like the only killers that I have below a 70 is Hag, Twins, and Hillbilly. Those three. Because they've been tracking stats since 2020. When I first started playing the game, I was getting bullied by those. So I don't think it's fair that those stats are there, man. It should be like the past year or two, man. Remove them. Make them look bad. That's when I was learning the game. I was getting cooked and bullied. It's crazy.
Now let me get something out of the way quick. I am not complaining that the game is completely unplayable, because it isn't, as I am still able to win because luckily the majority of solo queue simply sucks in terms of skill.
Right.
I am also not saying that I do not enjoy a game that is hard, because I like my matches not being snooze fests. The issue is that it is very possible that the game will be made harder, as we know the devs are planning it. According to a leak, in the next Chaos Shuffle event, survivors will get both Tenacity and Unbreakable.
I made a video on this right here where they're going to get Tenacity and Unbreakable. They're going to use Chaos Shuffle as an experiment, and if it ends up being well, they're going to implement it probably in phase 2. So that's coming. So people are like, it's just going to be in Chaos Shuffle. It's not a big deal. No. They're going to use it as a way to test it. And then if it looks like it's a success, I'm staying away from the next Chaos Shuffle. If this is implemented, I'm staying away from the next Chaos. I'm not even going to play it. I'm not even going to look at it.
Kit, which makes it so that they have 6 perks in total, while the killer does not get anything to compensate. This might seem like an attempt by the devs in order to bring back the slugging countermeasures, when slugging is absolutely necessary against bully squads, and the game is unwinnable if you don't slug.
This is what I'm talking about again. They're making these changes to benefit the Timmies and the average to low MMR survivors, but they're buffing the bully squads and the SWFs at the top, because now they're handed even more tools, bro. Even more hand-holding stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think about. They inadvertently get buffed even more than they are now.
Take this information with a grain of salt, as this was data mined, so it's not official until the devs confirm it.
Right.
However, in terms of official things, we know phase 2 of the quality of life changes have a lot of them aimed to make the survivor experience better, like anti-camping.
Look at this, anti-slugging, continued improvements, which is going to be the Tenacity and what's going to happen in Chaos Shuffle. Anti-tunneling, probably just decisive strike for like 12 seconds. Anti-camping, I don't know how they're gonna do that part. I don't know, maybe just base kit Kindred or something like that. I don't know. MMR update, who knows what the hell they're gonna do there. Probably more depending on how you're playing the game. Maybe it's a little bit more advanced. Map and key item balancing, they're gonna give you items where you can see killer auras. So they're gonna give them even more information, and then anti-cheats, whatever. The only thing that I like about this right here is the 2v8 play while you wait and the reduced login steps right here. These two right here. Pretty much it. More perk presets kind of tough too though, not gonna lie.
Anti-tunneling and anti-slugging. But these are all needed tactics if you want to have a chance at winning in the current meta against survivors that are decent.
And this is Mint School saying it, bro, okay? This isn't me. You little Timmies, I don't want to just get good. This isn't me saying it. This is other people saying what I preach to you guys. Okay, they're saying it. You need to use the strategies to win at the high level. You're not artificially inflating nothing. You need the strategies to win at the higher level. It's insane, especially if you're an M1 killer.
Or how about the other change, which is buffing maps into becoming windows of opportunity as items.
Oh yeah, that's
if
coming
done,
too.
It basically means 30% of the player base will be able to have 5 perks, since Windows is by far the most used perk in the game.
Right,
now,
for
streamers and creators like myself, where playing DVD is basically our job, this is not a problem. But to ask normal killer players to adapt to these changes is asking for way too much, and we need both roles to be fun to play.
Right.
Behavior is currently at a very weird spot, as for the first time in many years, I would say we are in a meta that is absolutely survivor-sided currently overall, because even A-tier killers feel like B-tier. It's not just my killer bias talking, it's the first time in a long while where I enjoy playing survivor instead of playing killer, which is absolutely crazy for me to say. So I'm very curious to see what Behavior is going to do about this.
Yeah, so you see right here what he has it titled, the future of DVD. Like, what's the plan? The plan, I'm telling you guys right now, the plan is to F your feelings and bring it down to 60% at all costs. Meaning, We're going to implement these changes and force you into a loss to keep it fair for the survivors so they can win games and everybody can be happy. The same way they attacked your prestige levels and lobbies, the same way they removed items from the game so they don't hurt people's feelings. The same reason why there's not going to be a spider killer in the game, because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. Although there's a clown killer, which is a phobia. They didn't want to add a spider because of the phobias people have. These people have lost their way. They're disconnected. I don't get it. At one point, they wanted to turn the game into an esport, and that failed miserably because there's just no way. There's no way to balance it, right? You'd have to ban so many things, bro. If you go watch Comp DBD and look at the list of stuff they banned, it's not even worth playing. Just stop. Just, you know, it's not gonna happen, guys. I know people want it to be. It's just not gonna happen. So we're gonna have to leave that alone.
And more importantly, if they are able to share statistics after this patch in order to see if this is a global experience that is affecting both low and high MMR. In my opinion, at the very least,
if it's bad, they're not gonna show nobody. They're gonna keep that a secret.
Botany Knowledge should receive a nerf back again, because this perk is absolutely crazy. I said it on my video covering the changes. I used this perk before the buff and it did not need any buffs at all. Another perk that needs fixing is Vigil, as it's very unhealthy after the buffs and bugs that made it much stronger than it was before.
Bro, imagine gaining your life 40% faster. 40% faster.
See if the
and everybody around you 40% faster within a certain radius. That's
game
crazy.
Becomes more bearable after these perks are nerfed. If that is not enough, my second suggestion is that now that survivors spawn together, I would seriously reconsider adding an effect.
And this will probably never happen because this would counter their idea of bringing it down to 60-40. If they implement this, they're listening. If they implement this, they care about the killer side. Because right now they don't give a damn about the killer side. I 100% can tell you this right now. If you look at that Mandy post from the video that I made, we're just going to have to accept it because we artificially inflated, and we're going to be put in an MMR where we belong. Pretty much what they said. Pretty much disregarding anything. Just, yeah, we're going to make you lose because you cheated by tunneling and camping. Although we made perks to counter that stuff because we recognized it at one point as a strategy. Now it's toxic.
Based on corrupt intervention as a base kit for killers in order to help them in the early game, where killers are by far at their weakest and where survivors can just rush in order to guarantee 3 survivors escaping, which is what has been happening in the majority of my survivor matches. I think that change is much more player friendly than slowing the generators down, as seeing the red bar just feels bad psychologically compared to having generators blocked. If those changes are not enough, I would seriously consider waiting on implementing the tunneling, slugging, and camping mechanics. We don't know what those changes are yet, but if those changes are as impactful as base kit borrow time and make it harder to tunnel and slug, I will not like them at all.
And this guy, he's pretty, like, he's not biased, he's unbiased, he plays both sides. So if he's telling you that something's wrong, and it's like we've been able to predict what was coming, it's only going to get worse, man. Phase 2 is going to, people think, you know, it's like a they're like, you're doom posting. It's because we're in doomsday now, bro. Like this, we are in the actual doom. Go use a ghost face at high level, man. Like I tell you guys, see what happens. Matter of fact, don't even use corrupt or lethal. Just go play. Go try it.
And do not get me wrong. It might seem that I am complaining about the go next prevention, but on the contrary, I like it and my solo queue matches have become significantly better. I also would rather play against survivors that try.
You know what? In all honesty, think about it, man. With what they've done, if we just not care about feelings and emotions, what they have done with these changes have made the solo queue experience better. Because now everybody spawns together, they get to see, right? They get to attack a gen, one can take chase or whatever, and that gen gets completed. They get to heal quicker with each other. You get what I'm saying? Although they're not able to quit like the quitters they are. Now they're taking it serious and now they feel like they have a little bit of power. But at the cost of buffing those guys, you made the bully squads and SWFs that really go hard even stronger to compensate for solo queue. What you need to implement, right, what you need to implement are 2 separate playlists. Okay, you need to implement a different state of the game depending on the party. If there's a party, then you're gonna have to, like, I don't know, man, use the 2v8 method where gens go slower or faster depending on how the game's going. I don't know, do something. But the fact that we're concentrating on solo queue, because I agree, they do make up most of the player base on the survivor side, but it's like we're making the SWF stronger. Deal with it. Who cares? We're worried about these solo queue players, baby. And I don't know what happened recently, but they never cared about solo queue. Now they're like really, they're locked into the solo queue, man, experience. And it's because of the Five Nights at Freddy.
There are matches that are boring because survivors gave up, and now I have to decide whether to let the last survivor escape out of pity. I want the game to be balanced around survivors trying, because I think that is overall the healthiest outcome possible for Dead by Daylight, and I think the Go Next prevention is by far one of the biggest buffs the survivor role has ever got in the history of the game. Right. Please, let me know if your experience is similar to mine, and if you have any feedback that you want to give to the devs. I will be reading the comments on the...
Anyway, yeah, no, he's right. Everything, I like the points he made. I don't really disagree with anything that he says in this video. I agree with a little bit more on top of that. But if he's experiencing this and he's saying what I was saying last week, there's a problem. And the devs are pretty much destroyed the killer side, the M1 killer side. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's getting worse for the M1 killer side. So the people that want to rock Ghostface, people that want to rock Clown, killers like that, you are going to have to, it doesn't matter how good you are, because the game's not balanced around your skill. There's still not enough time for skill expression in this game, because these survivors can loop a Clown, right? The only thing you're gonna have is maybe mind games, but if you start utilizing strategy like hook placements and stuff like that, if you're not trying to play that way, man, then you're gonna suffer the most. It's time for you guys to start implementing strategies that they frown upon, man. For those that want a 12 hook every game, or just want to see them have their fun, it's time for you to step up and do something, man, because they're cooking you guys. They're gonna cook us. They're cooking us, but luckily I have the S tier killers to keep me going. I have the Nurse, I have the Blight, I have Vecna, I have the Houndmaster, I have the Ghoul, you know what I mean? I have Dracula. Those killers can still get it done no matter what. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, man. I'm anxious to read what you guys have to say. And make sure you go subscribe to Mint School, because good video, good insight. The guy's pretty much a genius, man. I like this guy, real smart. Drop a like. Love you guys, man. Peace.